The 4th of July celebration at the American ambassador's residence in Ottawa was a shadow of its former self in 2025. The once vibrant and bustling event, filled with laughter and camaraderie, now felt like a ghost of its past. The guest list was short, and many Canadian officials were absent. The empty chairs and sparse crowd were a stark contrast to the usual lively gatherings. The usual festive atmosphere was replaced by awkward silence, signaling a deep rift. Guests stood around unsure of how to navigate the palpable tension in the air. The once warm relationship between the US and Canada had turned cold. Handshakes were exchanged, but the warmth was gone, replaced by frosty interactions. For decades they shared the world's longest undefended border, fought wars together, and built trade networks. Their partnership was a model of international cooperation. But President Trump's return brought a new aggressive tone. His policies and rhetoric were a sharp departure from the past. His comments about Canada becoming the 51st state were seen as disrespectful. Canadian officials were visibly upset, and the public outcry was immediate. Friendly calls turned tense and trust began to crumble. Diplomatic channels that once facilitated easy communication now felt strained and contentious. A viral news clip showed a tense exchange between Trump and Canada's new Prime Minister Mark Carney. The debate highlighted the growing divide between the two leaders. Their sharp words and cold body language were shocking to those who believed in the special bond. The confrontation left many wondering if the relationship could ever be repaired. The relationship was not just strained, it was broken. The symbolic image of a broken flag captured the sentiment perfectly. This shift began weeks into Trump's second term, starting with words and quickly turning into action. Policies were changed and long-standing agreements were put into question. The canceled party in Ottawa was more than a diplomatic snub, it was a funeral for a friendship. The uneaten food and empty tables were a poignant reminder of what had been lost. The peaceful border now felt like a dividing line. What was once a symbol of unity now felt like a barrier. The era of easy friendship was over, and a new uncertain chapter had begun. The future of US-Canada relations was now shrouded in uncertainty. The US-Canada relationship was once a model of stability and cooperation, admired around the world for its seamless partnership and shared values. Together they built the St. Lawrence Seaway and NORAD, forging not just a powerful trading bloc, but also a deep military alliance and economic partnership that spanned decades. But this long-standing friendship began to unravel with surprising speed, as tensions mounted and trust eroded. Political shifts in the US sent shockwaves north, with immediate and profound consequences for Canada's own political landscape. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau resigned amid mounting pressure, paving the way for Mark Carney's unexpected rise to power. Carney declared the old relationship with the US over, signaling a decisive break from decades of American influence and charting a new independent course for Canada. Meanwhile, President Trump viewed Canada less as a partner and more as a competitor, imposing harsh tariffs that shocked Canadian industries. For many Canadians, this was seen as an economic attack, not just a tough negotiation tactic, threatening jobs and livelihoods across the country. The handshake of the past was replaced by trade war tactics, as old alliances faded and new uncertainties emerged. Canada was forced to seek new allies and strategies, realizing it could no longer depend on the US and had to redefine its place in a rapidly changing world. The US-Canada economic relationship was once envied worldwide, built on decades of trust, cooperation, and shared prosperity. For years, the two nations thrived as each other's largest trading partners, with millions of jobs and entire industries depending on the seamless flow of goods across the border. But in 2025, President Trump escalated tariffs, turning what had been a simmering trade dispute into a full-blown economic conflict. The move shocked markets and sent ripples through both economies. Tariffs on Canadian goods soared to 35%, hitting key industries hard and threatening the livelihoods of thousands of workers. Steel, aluminum, and the auto sector faced new costs, disrupting supply chains that had taken decades to build and putting pressure on manufacturers on both sides of the border. Canadian lumber became more expensive, violating the spirit of the USMCA and straining long-standing agreements. In response, Canada hit back with counter-tariffs, targeting a wide range of American products and sending a clear message that it would not back down. Provinces took action too, with Ontario and Alberta imposing their own measures to protect local industries and workers from the fallout. The trade war's impact was felt on both sides of the border, with job losses mounting, factories closing, and families facing higher prices for everyday goods. The USMCA review in 2026, once seen as a chance for renewal, now seemed like a hollow promise amid deepening tensions. The tariff wall created a painful economic divide, turning close trading partners into rivals and leaving uncertainty hanging over the future of North American trade. Canada forged its own path in foreign policy, opposing the U.S. It recognized a Palestinian state challenging American positions. Foreign Minister Anita Anand pushed for Palestinian reforms. Canada acted independently, no longer in America's shadow. It took assertive roles on global issues like Ukraine and Haiti. Canada sought concrete security guarantees and a new strategy for Haiti. Military decisions were re-evaluated, exploring options beyond American deals. Canada's foreign policy became pragmatic, independent, and unafraid to disagree with the U.S. The U.S.-Canada conflict affected ordinary citizens. Canadians boycotted U.S. goods and canceled travel plans. The hashtag #BoycottUSA trended, impacting U.S. tourism. Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith clashed with Ottawa over oil exports. She sought U.S. tariff pauses to aid a conservative Canadian party. This sparked outrage, with accusations of foreign interference. Separatist sentiment in Alberta grew, questioning its place in Canada. The U.S. reaction was mixed, with some unaware of the crisis. Border communities felt the pain of job losses and higher prices. The border, once a symbol of unity, became a source of division. The US-Canada relationship breakdown is a global event. It sends a message. No relationship with the US is secure. The crisis damaged America's reputation as a reliable ally. Canada seeks new partners, exploring ties with the EU. The energy sector is critical, with Canada supplying 60% of US imported crude. If the trade war escalates, Canada could restrict energy exports. This crisis tests both nations, US leadership and Canada's independence. The path forward is risky, with potential for escalation or reconciliation. The world watches as this story reflects changing power dynamics. The US-Canada story is now about global alliances and order.